Hello all, here I Komal Sharma welcomes you all at our YouTube channel Gargi Classes. So today I am heading towards the second part of the John Donne's poem The Good Morrow. Yesterday I have discussed all about the introduction of the poem and about the text and the particular meaning of the text lines. Alright, so today I am going to define the basic analytical theory of this particular poem, The Good Morrow. What are the intentions behind writing such poem, The Good Morrow by John Donne? And of course, this particular poem is one among the bestest poem of his metaphysical genre, the metaphysical genre in which the John Donne wrote various poems of his own. All right, and he is well renowned as a metaphysical poet of Elizabethan era. So here I am going to define the analytical theory of this particular poem, The Good Morrow, which is written by John Donne. So here we are proceeding. So first of all, knowing that the title means good morning, good morrow is archaic, an old-fashioned way of greeting someone. So basically the good morrow is just a way to greet somebody in the old times. In ancient times, the people used to greet with the name good morrow is, which means they greeted each other with this particular name. Alike in our new generation, we greet each other with the name good morning. They used, instead of good morning, they used good morrow is. All right, so here good morning, the particular good morrow is, the particular title's meaning is good morning. All right, so in typical Donne fashion, it takes the reader right into the bedroom, which is the crucible of passion and thought. So into this particular poem, the poet actually explores the passion and the thought of his own into this particular poem. And this poem directly takes us into the bedroom of the lovers. All right, I like canonization, the canonization which we have studied in our earlier video, which is also a prescribed poem into our syllabus of UPSC mains English literature. In that poem also, the poem begins into the bedroom, from the bedroom of the poet too, of the lovers too. So with the same passion in which the poet have in canonization, the same passion he has into this particular poem too. With the same passion and same thought, he takes us directly into the bedroom of his own, into the bedroom of the lovers, where the lovers are just awakened from their last night's sleep. So hope you could imagine what kind of scene there is. So the two lovers are waking up first thing in the morning. So just they are awaking from their last night's sleeps. All right, so that's why the poem called as good morrows or good morning. Here the speaker wants to examine the state of their relationship and so ask more questions, reflecting on his time prior to their loving, pleasure and beauty, and alluding to historical events. So basically, while just the poem begins, the poet tries to examine the state of their relationship. The lover wants to examine the state of their relationship. That's why he asks frequently many questions to his beloved, which I have discussed in my earlier video. All right then. So and he compare his love, and he, in order to explore his love, in order to express his love towards his beloved, and in order to express their both love towards each other, he used many historical events into this poem. And he implies that the love the two share is like a new religion, and he represents his love towards his beloved as a new religion, basically. And he even gives the allusion of seven sleepers who were persecuted Christian youths sealed up in a cave, who walk after nearly 2 centuries to find Christianity had spread. So I have already discussed about the allusion of seven sleepers in my earlier video, who are the legend of Christianity. All right, so he used this particular seven sleepers allusion through into this poem, progress into a series of images that relate to travel, the world and cartography, map making, an extended argument for the unity of their love. Furthermore, he progresses with his unity and he uses various images that relate to travel, to the world, and to making an extended argument for the unity of their love. So, in order to represent their unity of love towards each other, he uses various images into this too. The sea discovering, he used the images of sea discoverers, and he uses the illusion of the map makers. All right, the world map making, and he extended argument for the unity of their love continuously throughout the poem. Next on, he uses these metaphors to relate to exploration, discovery, and conquest. So basically, at the time of John Donne, there was the era when the discoveries, or when the quest for the new things had been going on. So into that particular era, when the Catholicism was actually suppressed by the Protestantism, because the queen was Queen Elizabeth, who was Protestant. So first thing, the suppression of Catholicism is also shown here. The and basically the another thing, that the quest and the discoveries had been going on into that particular era. There were scientists, or there were the new discoverers who tried to discover the whole world and the phenomena of the world, basically. So into that particular era, he wrote such poem, and by influenced such scenario, he put the illusions which seemed like all those things which were real at that time. So this method of expanding a reasoned argument using strong imagery and metaphor to effectively control emotions and feelings has been given the label of a metaphysical. So such kind of imagery he used the strong imageries, all like the sea discoverers, the world mappings, and he alludes with the seven sleepers. He used the illusion of seven sleepers, the historical events he used into this poem, and biblical arguments he has been giving into this particular poem. So all these things overall makes this poem a metaphysical poem. He used various conceits into this poem, and making Donne the prime mover of the what has become known as the metaphysical school. So all these things he had included into this particular poems too, alike the rest of his poems, which are all relevant to metaphysicalism. So alike the rest of his poem, this poem particularly having all those aspects of metaphysical schools. So basically, throughout the poem, you would get through with all the imageries he has been using into this poem, the conceits basically, and many more things, which leads this particular poem, sorry, I'm so sorry, poem towards the metaphysical school. All right. So now we are moved. This was all about our a view of analytical theory, a view of just analysisment of this particular poem, where the poet uses various allusions, images he used, and various conceits he has been using into this poem particularly. So these things have come across throughout the poem. Now we will study all about the literary devices in the Good Morrow. Literary devices in the Good Morrow. All right. So our first literary device is alliteration. Alliteration, which is the repetition of the consonant sound into a word or into a line, of course. So alliteration means when two or more words in close proximity begin with the same consonant. So basically, while the words in close proximity begin with the same consonant sound, while there is the repetition of consonant sound into the words which are closely related to each other. For example, here we have the words from the or from line from the particular poem where they said that the were we not weaned. So here the repetition of w were we weaned. The were here the repetition of the consonant sound were. All right, w. So here this is what we call the alliteration. Next is we have the snorted we in the seven. Snorted we in the seven sleepers. So here the repetition of the s sound. Sir. Snorted seven sleepers. All right. The next line is which watch not. So here the repetition of which and watch. So these kind of repetition of consonant sound in the proximity of words, of course, close words. So this is what we call the alliteration, which is used by the poet John Donne into his poem The Good Morrow. Next we have assonance. Assonance means the repetition sounds of the vowels into the words of a single line. When two or more words in a line have the same vowel sounds. For example, sucked on country, seven sleepers den. So here the repetition of seven sleepers. So here the repetition of e sound and then e sound. All right, all love of other. So here the repetition of o and tine in mine. So here the repetition tine in mine, I repetition. Then true, plain, hard, do. So here are the repetition of the vowel pronunciation of vowel sounds into these words. So this is what we call the assonance, which has been used by the poet John Donne into this particular poem, The Good Morrow. Next we have a literary term caesura. We have another literary device. So caesura means a pause in a line caused by punctuation. So caesura means a pause in a line, in a single line, when there is a pause which is caused by the punctuation, where the reader has to pause. So here we have, there are several in this poem, but in the line 14 where there are two. So in the 14 line there are two caesuras which has been used by the poet. So we have, let us possesses one world, each had one and is one. So here the caesura arises over here after the world, where there is a punctuation world, each had one. Here another punctuation where the poet pause, where we have to pause while we are reading this poem, and is one. So here, while there is a pause in a line which is caused by the punctuation, where the reader is expected to pause the reading. So this is all about the literary devices of this particular poem, which is used by John Donne. Next we have, in the analytical theory, we have the next point is the structure and form of the Good Morrow. The structure and form. Now what is the structure and in which form the poem is written? So the Good Morrow is 3 stanza poem, each stanza having 7 lines, about which I have told you all, to which you can name as haptet. So basically the poem is divided into 3 stanza and each stanza having 7 lines. The rhyme scheme is unusual. There is no usual rhyme scheme into this particular poem. The rhyme scheme is A B C C. So here the rhyme scheme is A B C. While you are going through with the poem, you would come to know the rhyme scheme of this unusual scheme which is used by the poet John Donne. The first 4 lines of each stanza working together in alternate pairs. So here this is the alternate pair, A B. So the 4 line of the stanza, the first 4 lines of the stanzas make pairs, alternate pair to each other. The last 3 lines being a conclusion of or affirmation, and the last one are the C are make a conclusion or affirmation of that particular thing. So this was all about the structure in which the poem is written. The poem is written in 3 stanzas having 7 lines, and the rhyme scheme is unusual. The first 4 lines are making pair with each other alternatively, which is A B A B, and the last 3 lines, which concluded the first 4 lines, which is C C C. So, all right, so we have all these things about the analytical theory of this particular poem, The Good Morrow, written by the metaphysical poet John Donne. So this was all about a bit analysis meant about the overview, the allusions, all about the allusions, the imagery. We have come to know the conceits which make this particular poem metaphysical. Second thing, we have also discussed all about the literary devices, the alliteration, assonance, and the third one is caesura. About the structure and formation in which the poem is written, about which we have discussed now. So this is all about our poem. In the my earlier video, I have discussed all about the introduction and about the text, and into this particular video I have discussed all about the analytical theory of this particular poem. Still, if you have any kind of query, doubt, or question in your mind, you can directly email us upon our email ID, which is gargiclasses.edu at the rate gmail.com. I'll make sure to make your doubt, question, or query confirm or give you answer back to this Sunday only, which we have been doing on each Sunday of the month. All right then. So hope you like this video. Do like the video if you think the video is consisting all the information which is required, all according to our exam point of view, and press the bell icon to get the notification of our upcoming video, and don't forget to subscribe the video too. Thank you.